What's up, guys? Brandon with Strict Vision Athletics here with another This or That. Today we're doing a comparative analysis of two hammers. So hammer strength training is very popular these days. It's becoming a very unconventional, functional form of movement, and people are starting to see it a lot more in gyms and in high-level facilities especially. So what I'm seeing here are the two most popular companies that are doing this. You got the TribeWad and you got the Banff Hammer. So I'm going to sort of just throw my opinions on both of these at you guys, and I will, of course, tell you my personal favorite at the end and which one that I go toward for which movements, but each one has something that the other one does not. So let's start with the TribeWad. So the TribeWad is essentially, they advertise it as a Thor kettlebell. And that is a really good way to describe it because it's all made out of one solid piece of, I think it's galvanized steel. It's very durable. It does come with a powder coating on it that does have a tendency to chip. So the quality of this actually was a little bit concerning, and we addressed it in the product review when we just talked about this guy. So when it does come, be wary, especially the big ones will most likely be chipped. TribeWad did not do a good job shipping them. They got a bad unboxing, and they got a poor product review because of that. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, the actual piece of equipment itself is very cool. And there are certain movement patterns that I really, really like with them. I treat these the way I treat dumbbells. So any movement patterns, my personal favorite, Arnold press or hammer curls. My two favorite exercises to do with the TribeWad hammers. Any exercise that you can do with a dumbbell, you can do with these hammers. And what it's gonna do is, it's gonna create, obviously, an off-centered form of resistance. So right now, the weight is pulling my shoulder into external rotation. And that is something that is really impressive about this. And just the style of training involving hammers, compensating for that load shift or putting it on the inside and compensating the other way is a really good way to overcome pre-existing injuries. If you've got an area that you're trying to strengthen, your wrist strength, your shoulder strength, all of that is helped through this kind of training. So TribeWad also, one thing they do very well is that they also offer a wide array of different sizes. I don't remember exactly how many they have, but I know they have 15s, 20s, 25s, I think 35s. I think they go all the way up to 55s. They've got more variety than the BAMF. That is probably the biggest advantage of going TribeWad over going BAMF right out of the gate. There is just more availability. Again, these mimic dumbbells. You can count on sectioning off an area that is similar to a dumbbell rack if you're going to run the full line of TribeWad hammers like I have. I've got a whole little shelving area where I've got them all lined up. It's not that much of an imposition. The face of these is rather condensed, and even at its largest, the biggest hammer is not going to be any bigger than the face of a dumbbell. So they're really not that bad. The size of these, that would be another thing that I would say TribeWad does over BAMF is their footprint size. They are a smaller hammer than the BAMF hammer. As I mentioned, certain dumbbell exercises will be very, very closely mimicked by using the TribeWad. So now let's talk about the BAMF hammer. So the BAMF hammer has a wide array of different movement patterns that you can use it for, in addition to every single movement that you can do with the TribeWad. So right out of the gate, I will say this is more functional. This is something that you can use for more activities. There's more movements associated with it. Because of its design, it's made with this really thick, rubberized outer shell that allows you to bang it onto items. You can actually slam this on your concrete, and your concrete will be fine. You can hit this on just about anything. The cool thing about this, in addition to that, is just the way that it's made. I will say that this feels a lot better. It's got this really incredible grip. It looks like it's just so badass. It's got a very, very good feel to it when you use it. Now, as I mentioned, TribeWad has more versatility. You've got, TribeWad has more size differences. So you have more options if you go TribeWad as far as weight. With these, you can only really go with what he has available. And right now, I believe there is 10, 20, and 40. Those are the three weight options for the hammers. Now you could of course get them in pairs, which is what I did with these. These guys I think actually are sold in pairs. So the hammers, these come in pairs, again, more like dumbbells. These are more ballistic trainers. The BAMF hammer, I use it more for cardiovascular. I use it for a lot of high intensity interval training. Anytime that I want to slow down and really do like really focused hypertrophy, I'll do the tripod. And anytime I want to do something explosive or really functional or multi-joint, I will use the BAMF. So another thing that the BAMF does, it's just an incredible company. This company has really spent time on the educational side. That is something that Tripod does not do very well. In fact, I will go a step further and say that I have seen some of the advertisement that this company has done showing their athletes doing things with this that I know for a fact you could not do with the weight that is being advertised. Meaning, when you buy these, you cannot just expect to have knowledge on what to do. So if you go with a company like BAMF, he is going to provide you a lot of movement patterns and education on what to do once you get his product. And it's just educating yourself on hammer training, period, is something everybody needs to do before they buy one of these. BAMF is the place to do that. So let's talk about some of the negatives associated with this. One thing that I have noticed, I use magnetic microweights for all of my stuff. So meaning if I want to do an Arnold press and I want to jump up in variability between 15 to 25, I'll use a 2.5, magnetize, and it will stick to the bottom of the tripod hammer. It will not stick here. That is one thing that I have noticed. It's difficult to add microweights to the BAMF. Oftentimes this is not that much of an inconvenience because, as I mentioned, I do use the BAMF more for high intensity interval training, less for smaller interval training based on a select muscle group. So it's not always that big of a deal when I do this. Another thing that BAMF does not technically do as good as Tripod is going to be the footprint. Look at the size difference on these. So this one is 15 pounds, this one is 10. So this is 5 pounds lighter than this, but look at the size differential in the space of the floor. So if I wanted to run a line of BAMF hammers, I would need 2 or maybe even 3 times the floor space that I would need in order to run the tripod. So from a storage standpoint, tripod wins. Now, when it comes to the grand finale of these things, I always have a difficulty answering definitively which one I like more. I love education, and I love companies that see the investment in their clientele and really go that extra mile for their people. And again, I had a relatively poor experience with Tripod on the customer service side of things. So I would personally go BAMF. I think the BAMF hammer is an incredible piece of technology, and I think the company that's being run is exceptionally good. And that's the thing I see most with this company. This is still in its infant phase. He's got a lot of room for improvement on this. It's an incredible piece of technology already. It's durable. As I said, I've banged it on the ground, on the concrete, on my deadlift platform. It doesn't matter. It doesn't break, and it doesn't move or shift, or it's just great. But as time goes on, I know he's going to get more sizes. I know he's going to probably perfect even more his design. Yeah, so I would probably go BAMF hammer if I had to choose, but that also depends on what you want. If you want something that's going to mirror kettlebells or dumbbells, go Tripod. If you want something for high intensity interval, go BAMF.